The state-of-the-art Ed Lumley Center for Engineering Innovation is the new home to the University of Windsor's renowned Faculty of Engineering. A faculty that offers a wide variety of opportunities that prepare students to creatively solve the practical problems that face our society. With degree programs ranging from aerospace and environmental to civil and mechanical, from automotive and industrial to electrical and material, becoming an engineer has never been more exciting. There's also co-op opportunities that allow students to earn money and gain valuable real-world experience, all while completing their degree. The facility itself rivals the technical sophistication of any post-secondary institution in Canada and was constructed to meet the highest environmental standards and to provide learning opportunities throughout. Aside from world-class labs and classrooms, the Center for Engineering Innovation features a green roof, water recycling, low-energy heating, and other sustainability systems. This unique combination of our state-of-the-art facility, Windsor's unique climate of cooperation between academic, business, and industry sectors, and some of the best minds in engineering ensure that our graduates' career opportunities are outstanding.
Here at St. Clair College, it's about you. It's about your passion, your skills, and stepping up to the challenge. St. Clair College has 3 campuses in Windsor and Chatham. It's here where we rise above, where we soar to our full potential, providing over 120 advanced diplomas, degrees, and graduate certificate programs. Our reputation as a premier educator and our commitment to academic excellence is seen in all we do, from programs in community studies and the arts to engineering, technology, and skilled trades. With the new Xahive School of Business and Information Technology, with both a physical space and curriculum to ensure that graduates are the leaders of tomorrow. St. Clair College offers a wide range of activities to enhance campus life, from varsity and intramural sports to the state-of-the-art health and fitness facilities. There's something for everyone. Our students and faculty are an important part of our community. The college's mission of excellence in all we do is shared by faculty, administrators, and staff as they prepare students with careers that will shape the economy of tomorrow. Our relationship is ongoing with graduates that ultimately enrich our current programs for student success. It's here where we feel welcomed and inspired, and where we become work ready. St. Clair College, it's time to take flight. Rise above the ordinary.
Good morning. Welcome to our session on cybersecurity. For the ones who don't know me yet, I'm Philipp Kornitzky. I'm with the Ontario Government Advanced Technologies branch, and I cover the cybersecurity sector. And I'm very pleased to have some great panelists with me here today. I'll just do quick introductions. So we have Sem Ponnambalam. She's the co-founder and president of Xahive. At Xahive, Sem is primarily responsible for global operations, including cybersecurity education, training, audits, business, and market development. She has 18 plus years of experience in private and public sector, and has co-authored 3 books on cybersecurity, co-authored several articles and white papers, and she has been interviewed about the importance of cybersecurity by both print and television media in Canada. Also, Sem continues to lecture and facilitate cybersecurity governance workshops and courses for businesses, associations, and academic institutions in the US and Canada and in Europe. Welcome, Sem. We also have AJ Khan, who is the CEO of Vehiqilla. AJ is a globally recognized automotive cybersecurity leader with over 20 years of experience in cybersecurity. AJ has contributed towards entities like Transport Canada, European Union Information Security Agency, and Automotive Parts Manufacturing Association of Canada, and Transport Canada. He's also the president of GSMC, the Global Syndicate for Mobility Security. Also, we have with us Deepan, who is the team lead for the Vehicle Assure program at Vehiqilla. Deepan focuses on vehicle supply chain cybersecurity through Vehiqilla Assure program, and he's also the host of Auto Cyber Jabber, an online webinar focused on automotive cybersecurity. So I'll pick it up just giving a short presentation this morning just about our cybersecurity sector in Ontario, to give a little bit of background, how our ecosystem looks like. And then I'll hand it over to Sem, to talk about Xahive and the great work she has been doing. Then AJ and Deepan will introduce Vehiqilla, and then we'll have a discussion on different best practices, cybersecurity best practices relating to automation, supply chain, the vehicle sector, in-vehicle security, etc. So hope you enjoy the session, and I'll get into my presentation. Okay, so let me just share this. Sem, or one of you, can you see my screen? Just to make sure.
Yeah, you're good,
yeah.
Philip.
Okay, great. So just as discussed, about Ontario cybersecurity sector, I will actually just start with a quick kind of global cybersecurity overview for the ones who, many of you probably are already aware of this, but just as a quick recap. So cybersecurity really is one of the fastest growing sectors worldwide. As you can see, over the last 5 years or even longer, the market really has been growing, and since COVID, of course, even more so. So you can see the total market forecast is close to $250 billion by 2023. And these are estimates that are a little bit dated there from last year, so it's even bigger now. One of the big reasons why there is so much demand for cybersecurity products is, of course, the advances in technology that create increased risk for businesses. That's one of the reasons, of course, why you are logging into the session today. IoT, e-commerce, mobile payments, remote working, connected vehicles, and vehicles technology is great, but of course it increases risks. There's more data being transferred, more data being collected, etc. Digital connectivity, as mentioned, right? So there's an estimated close to 6 billion internet users in the world, 50 billion connected devices by 2022, and of course this is just estimates. One thing that is important to note is that really there is a lot of cybercrime, and the majority of businesses and consumers are vulnerable. So average cost of data breaches, this is US dollars, 3.86 million. That's an estimate from IBM. There's many different kind of estimates around. Importantly, the breaches are not identified right away. So actually the average time to identify a data breach is 207 days, according to this data by IBM. So it's really, it takes a long time for people to realize that there was a hack and there was a breach, and that is really an important consideration. And as I mentioned, since COVID, really there has been a surge of attacks in the volumes and sophistication, in ransomware attacks and phishing attacks. So you can see 100 million COVID phishing and ransomware attacks daily. That's according to Google. So how does our sector look like in Ontario? We have close to 280, more than 280 companies across the province. Some of our, big global recognized companies are here. So you can see this hot 150 cybersecurity companies list: Arctic Wolf, eSentire, BlackBerry, Herjavec Group. They were in the list in the 2020 list. 2021, some dropped off, and we got one new one, One Password on this list. There's many different lists around, but this is just to give a flavor of who are the really big players in Ontario. From a geographic perspective, here you can see kind of that the sector is really geographically dispersed across the province. So the number next to the city or the region is the number of companies approximately. So you can see the most of them are in the GTA, 120. the Kitchener-Waterloo region 51, Ottawa 85, but you see 6 in Windsor, 3 in London, and all basically throughout the province there is companies focusing on cybersecurity. So it really is a province-wide industry, and it's growing extensively. Just to get a flavor of what are the main players in each of the major regions are. So this is the major clusters. So you can see there's some multinationals like IBM, etc. And then there is, of course, our key leaders in each of the sectors, and some other bigger players. But this is just to really show that all these areas are really growing, and there's really like a booming ecosystem. From our strength of what Ontario companies look at, so close to 50% are in what we call the technology space, which is many of the sectors where we have strength, as for example, data security and encryption, or identity and access management. Those are really the kind of technologies that we excel in, also on a global level. And then close to a quarter of companies are in monitoring and incident response. Vulnerability management around 10%, and cybersecurity strategy, which is a really growing sector, growing part of the cybersecurity industry in Ontario, is really, as a share, has been getting larger over time. So we had around 5% in the previous years, and now we're at close to 13%. From the verticals, so this might be interesting, especially now that we're looking at automation and advanced manufacturing for this for this conference. So here you can see the verticals that our cybersecurity companies are looking at for customers, or where they specialize in. So you can see 124 approximately companies really look at all sectors, and then as the number goes down, these are companies that really focus on that vertical. So that doesn't mean that they don't do anything else, but this is kind of their key vertical they are looking at. So you can see governments around 100, financial services, of course, it's up there, healthcare, and then critical infrastructure. You can see for manufacturing we have around 20 companies who look at that. For automotive we have 11. So it really, as it gets more down the line, you can see there is a smaller amount of companies that really focus on this area. That doesn't mean that the all sector kind of can focus on other on these sectors as well. It's just that it kind of gives a flavor of the type of cybersecurity solutions that are available in Ontario. From a talent pipeline, I know before, of course, we saw the great some great of our colleges and universities showcasing themselves, and we have a really great education ecosystem here, and especially for cybersecurity, it's also growing. It's really, as I think in the presentation from NGen was mentioned, that the sector, cybersecurity sector, and the advanced manufacturing sector at the same time is really growing so fast, and getting the right people is a challenge, right? And so our colleges, universities are really stepping up to do this, and trying to get companies and universities and organizations to work together to really get the right people for the jobs and as required. So you can see cybersecurity professionals, it will be one of the top jobs in demand in North America by 2022. It really is. There's a lot of demand for cybersecurity professionals, and we have quite a lot of programs already. So 49 cybersecurity degree programs in Ontario, and more than 700 cybersecurity related courses and certificates and diploma courses, and it's counting. So there's a lot more focused on that. And with that, that's just a quick intro to the sector, and I will hand it over to Sem.
Thank you so much, Phil. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this morning. I'm not where you all are, but in terms of the weather, I know in the GTA cloudy today. So I just wanted to introduce myself again as Sem Ponnambalam. I'm the CEO and co-founder of XL, a cybersecurity company. We have an office in Ottawa, and we are slowly, to the GTA region as well at this point. So quickly, just to give you a little bit of background on Xahive, we offer a patented compliant end-to-end data transmission for enterprises and IoT, along with cybersecurity education and governance management tools. So by working with us, you actually get to save on your cyber insurance. We've seen, before I get into Xahive and how we work with organizations, I just want to go through some of the gaps we've seen in the auto sector. We worked with some clients and just give you a little background in terms of, some of the stats. So market for connected cars is expected to grow 270% by 2020, actually, so by next year. And with over, I think already there's about 125 million connected cars, which are predicted worldwide to come into effect leading up to 2022. That's a lot of vehicles. So, and organizations are really now, what we've seen as well working with clients is that we're seeing a transition over to 5G. And this is helping a lot of these organizations to make new developments and, and trends in cybersecurity, such as automation, zero trust, digital strategies, policies, and procedures. Organizations now have to contend with not only during from a technical perspective, but also a governance perspective as well, because it all goes hand in hand. You need a holistic approach when you're actually looking at not just the auto sector, but cybersecurity in general, incorporating 5G as you go through your digital transformation. And what we've noticed as well, another big trend is that among connected cars is that with the technology, there's already the connection direct to the internet. So there is, with 5G being incorporated, what we need to realize is that there are some legacy issues with 4G technology, and actually studies have recently indicated that with 5G, there are over 200 plus cybersecurity access points that are vulnerable. So that's just what's been reported so far. I'm sure as further studies come out, that'll probably go up. So something else to note as well is that with 5G, it's all connected to your cellular vehicle. So it's basically called cellular vehicle to everything, or what we in the regular overall world say IoT. So and that could be classified into 4 types that I've noticed while we were working with clients. It's vehicle to infrastructure communication, whereas communication is wireless exchange between data and road infrastructure. So this helps whether it's hardware, software, firmware, but it's allowing you to access lane markings, road signs, traffic lights, and wireless information between the vehicle. The second one is vehicle to vehicle, which helps disseminate the information such as high traffic conditions or changes in weather and events that affect public safety. The third one is vehicle to device, which detects like pedestrian collisions, can be this way. And then also parent devices or cell phones can be relayed to the vehicles as well. And the fourth one is vehicle to network. So this prevents vehicles to vehicle collision as it ensures navigation of any, interstates, for example. This helps with connected cars, or when they're changing lanes or looking for parking spots and so on. So something to also note is that as of 2021, there are over 2 billion IoT devices, and with 5G being ubiquitous, this is a huge, opportunity. These numbers are just going to be growing. Within the sector, what we've noticed while working with our clients is that, especially on the IoT side, the different types of abilities or exploits have been the big component. Network scan problems. Another one is malware. So specifically out of the malware, we've noticed it's been worms that have been causing a lot of issues, as well as users, right, by people that's using other passwords or just using the same passwords for everything. And then threats to the IoT devices within is basically exploits. So really important to note as well that not all operating systems actually support IoT devices. So in fact, over 83 do not support IoT devices. So that's a huge when it comes to cybersecurity vulnerabilities. And also we've noticed as well is that they're doing target for hackers to exploit IoT devices, and over 98% of IoT device traffic is actually encrypted. That is pretty scary to note. So something to keep in mind. And IoT traffic is rarely encrypted. So this is, as your manufacturers or the auto sector, this is something that you should also look at. In terms of benefits of auto sector, there's as we get much more connected, we need to ensure that sectors are secure. So we actually partnered with BlackBerry, Hat, and IBM globally, and our partnership while working with Red Hat actually come out with a report talking about how cloud infrastructure is big security problems that they've faced as well as a company. So especially now, given that telecommunications are considered, U.S. government officials are actually concerned. Countries that are that the U.S. the Five Eyes that work with need to be careful with whom they go for in terms of the 5G vendor, because this could potentially open up vulnerabilities, not only for the enterprises, but the entire supply chain. So I know in Canada we have strict privacy regulations and provincially. Similarly, we also have an office in California and New York, and we've noticed, especially in California, the data privacy regulation in California is very similar to also in Europe with the GDPR. We also have an office in the UK, so this is something that we've come across among working with our clients. So some of the gaps that have remained unaddressed are, I mentioned before, is the encryption. Also, many solutions only focus on specific security features such as data protection or device tracking, and they don't provide well-documented AI policies and procedures, and even these procedures for not only the actor itself, but the manufacturing supply chain. So that's something I know we'll get into a little bit further in discussion with AJ and Philip. So this is something that we've noticed as well. one way that we've come across in terms of protecting an organization, especially when it comes to data, is that to make sure that you don't put your encryption keys on the central device itself, because if device gets breached, the server gets breached, gets decrypted actually. And just need to also note, Xahive has been working with BlackBerry, Red Hat, and IBM, and we've courses to address the need for fully end-to-end data transfers for autonomous vehicles and IoT devices, and the actual vehicles and also the supply chain. And some of the applications looked at is securing manufacturing processes, providing additional security for smart cars, remote control HVAC systems, and it all goes into the automated smart stores as well. The benefits of ensuring this type of protection secures the supply chain itself. There's data transfer. What we offer is also private keys. And we also talk about never storing your private keys on a central server. And we offer compatibility and scalability as well. So not Canada, US, and Europe, but globally as well. Thank you. I will now turn it over to AJ.
Thank you, Sam. Deepan, can you please bring up the slide? Yeah, so I think the slide deck is now visible for everyone.
Yes, yeah, we can see it.
So thank you, Philipp, for this opportunity. Vehiqilla is a cybersecurity company which is focused on automotive cybersecurity only, and we are based out of Windsor. I am the CEO of that company, and we started this company last year, May of 2020, and since then a lot of interesting things have happened. But I want to begin with a slide on the challenges we actually face. Sam has mentioned some of those challenges, but automotive cybersecurity is an area where a lot of things need to be done. This is the results of a survey which we carried out with the APMA, Automotive Parts Manufacturing Association, and KPMG. The whole report is available for download. And as you see, there are many challenges here. One of the biggest challenges which we have is we are still looking at automotive cybersecurity from an IT cybersecurity lens. And frankly, automotive cybersecurity is something totally different because it's a dynamic environment. Think of a financial institution. Think of an office space. That is a static environment where you have to look at the cybersecurity of that, and that is critical. But if you look at automotive cybersecurity, and in this report we define automotive cybersecurity as IT security, OT security, supply chain security, data security, and also looking at in-plant manufacturing security. All of those need to be looked at from a cybersecurity perspective. And this at the top, the survey says 58% of organizations, automotive organizations, looks at it from a business perspective, but 42% look at it from an IT perspective. But this is not only an IT issue. So I do want to emphasize on that. Another very interesting one is that the question in the center, the extent to which auto manufacturers have a cyber strategy. So how many organizations have cyber strategies in place? And that is critical. And we see that there are some organizations which do have that, but many don't even have a cyber strategy in place. So again, a huge challenge. Looking at it from a holistic perspective, this is something which needs to be looked at. I do want to also look at on the right side where it says 49% of respondents indicate that the cybersecurity strategy leader is at the C-suite. So 49% indicate that, but that means 50% do not indicate that. So cyber has to be at the C level. It has to be at the board level. It has to have that seat and look at it from a long-term business strategy. Because think about it, in today's world, in the automotive sector, if uh, if cyber is not taken hold and thought about in from that perspective, your business might not even survive, let alone thrive. But if you do have a cyber strategy and you have cyber leaders, then your business will thrive in this new connected world. And another important thing which I want to highlight on this slide is the bottom left, top barriers to cyber preparedness. And that is very interesting. And I think, Philip, you talked about talent. One of the important one is lacking the right talent. So today there's a huge shortage of cybersecurity professionals in the world. But what about automotive cybersecurity professionals? So I've worked in cybersecurity for 20 years, financial sector, telco, government, different areas. But when I came into the automotive sector, starting from initially 2017 and then 2018, I started working with APMA, having interactions with them, and then from January 2019 to February of 2021, I was the co-chair of APMA Cybersecurity Committee. In that time, I learned so much new things about automotive because I was coming from a IT cybersecurity perspective. So a huge challenge of from an automotive cybersecurity perspective. Then, of course, low visibility for key risks. So what are the risks in automotive cybersecurity? Well, we don't even know those risks because those risks are still something, if when we looked at connected and autonomous vehicles, those risks are still something which we are still exploring, which we are still understanding, still comprehending. And lack of support from leadership. So as we saw, only 49% are at cybersecurity sits with the C level. But so we do need more support from the leadership, and unclear return on investment. So cybersecurity return on investment has to be given a monetary figure, and that can be done through risk assessment, risk management methodologies. So that is something we need to look at. And there are so much, these are just from an automotive manufacturing perspective, these challenges. But as we come into, as Sam said, the V2X, vehicle to everything component, when your vehicle, imagine maybe this winter, maybe maybe in more, when the pandemic is finally over, we drive down from Toronto to Florida. Where is your vehicle data going? Where is the communication between the vehicle and other components? So different jurisdictions, different frameworks, all of that has to be looked at. So as I said, this is the current state of automotive cybersecurity in the manufacturing sector. And this is not only Canada, although this report is specific to Canada. This is a global challenge right now. But if we look at it from a more, long-term perspective, and we start looking at challenges in the connected and autonomous vehicle, so the driverless vehicle, what are the challenges over there? I will hand this over to Deepan, and he will take you through those.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. So hello everyone, myself Deepan Dhingra. Before moving forward to the presentation, I would like to thank Invest Winter for providing me an opportunity to speak at this conference. Being an alumni of University of Windsor and working at a company Vehiqilla, which is located at Windsor, it's a pleasure for me to be at this conference. So, moving forward, automotive manufacturers uh, are focused on the vehicle and they are focused on the acronym CASE, which means connected. The vehicle should be connected, it should be a self driving vehicle, it should be secure and electric. As we know, electric vehicles have huge environmental benefits. So, what are the challenges in automotive cybersecurity challenges in automotive manufacturing? So, we have identified four main challenges, and those are so there are multiple ECUs and extensive software use in the manufacturing of modern vehicle, and that is a cybersecurity challenge. Then, automotive supply chain is itself in a challenge, and we will discuss that in the further slides. Automotive cybersecurity is different from IT cybersecurity, as AJ mentioned that uh, he has learned a lot, although he has worked for 20 years. So automotive cybersecurity is definitely different from IT cybersecurity. And then we have multiple interconnected system. So a vehicle is connected to internal ECUs and further to external and third-party devices. So multiple ECUs and extensive software use. So the modern vehicle contains about 80 to 100 ECUs, and 100 million lines of code is used in the manufacturing of a vehicle. So imagine if a vulnerability is found in any of the code or any of the ECU, it would definitely affect the functioning of the vehicle. Then there are threats due to electric car infrastructure. As we know, electrification is becoming a part of automotive. Uh, what would happen if an electric charging station or a point is being hacked? It would definitely affect the vehicle. Then the automotive supply chain. So in the manufacturing of a vehicle, there's an involvement of around thousands of suppliers. In addition to that, there's an integration of third-party apps and other devices. For example, your mobile phones and the apps you're using in that. Uh, what if a vulnerability in that app affects the vehicle? Who is responsible for that? I think the supply chain needs to look at that part as well. And then, so there's involvement of thousands of suppliers, and there are tier one, tier two, and tier three suppliers. Uh, does if a low tier supplier is providing a software code, are they using software practices, secure software practices or not? So that is a challenge in supply chain. So multiple interconnected systems. So there are multiple interconnected system, and we have identified as so there can be safety critical system and non-safety critical system. For safety critical system, that will directly impact the safety of the passengers. For example, your braking system, the steering wheel, uh, uh, it might be uh, it might be the speed control unit. And then there are sensors that provide information to the safety critical system and affect the general vehicle systems. Then the non safety critical system includes operational V2X vehicle to other communication that provides major critical inputs to the safety critical system. For example, sensors and lidars that might provide input to your general vehicle systems. And then there's always telematics and devices that might be used for business processes to increase profits and asset management. In addition to that, infotainment applications and inconvenience for user experience. So basically, there are safety critical systems to be looked at and non-safety critical systems. So moving forward, I think this is why the automotive cybersecurity is different from IT cybersecurity, because there are safety and non-safety part too as well. So traditional intrusion prevention and detection system can be applied to non-safety related subsystems, but uh, it can't be applied to safety related subsystems just because it will directly impact the passenger sitting inside the car. False positives and false negatives are not an option uh, when you are driving on the road. And so the connected vehicle should be maintained as closed systems. So the sensor should, the output should depend on the input of the sensors. So there shouldn't be, uh, 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 imagine an autonomous vehicle and ECU or a connected car, an ECU in a connected car wants to drive at a speed of 60 kilometers, but the traffic doesn't allow. So it should be a closed system, and the speed should vary depending on the feedback of other sensors and other conditions. And there's a requirement of a holistic and deterministic cybersecurity approach that needs to be preventive in opposed to reactive. So in automotive cybersecurity, we should prevent the incident instead of react once the incident has happened. So, what will be the solutions will be required? So, first, the number one is obviously cyber monitoring of vehicles. In order to detect an incident, we need to monitor the vehicles 24/7. Then vehicle-focused cyber risk assessments. So there are risk assessment that a number of uh, manufacturers are focusing on, but in our opinion, the risk assessment should be focused on the vehicle because it is ultimately the vehicle that is being targeted by the hackers. Then obviously the cyber education, awareness, and training. So employees in the automotive sector should be trained regarding cybersecurity awareness. For example, in the trucking industry, drivers should be trained regarding cybersecurity and how it can impact devices, third party devices such as ELDs or telematic service providers. And then cyber governance program for automotive manufacturers. There should be a holistic cyber governance program for C-suite level and for the automotive manufacturers as well. And a recent standard ISO 21434 that has been recently launched on 31st of August 2021, uh, though UNECWP 29 in Europe. So organizations should comply with those standards. And then obviously preventive cyber solutions for connected and autonomous vehicles. As we mentioned, solutions should be preventive instead of reactive. So yeah, this is our contact information, and I would like to hand over to Philip, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Deepan, AJ, and Sem. If you all want to come back on screen, so we'll have a short discussion. I know we went a little bit longer, so I think we just have 5 minutes or so. But I think we want to really use this time to kind of give our attendees a sense of, what are your recommendations, like best practices, that organizations should look out for. So I know that, let's start with you, Sem, maybe. You mentioned it a little bit, and I know Deepan and AJ mentioned it too, from the supply chain side. I know you have done some work in that field. What would be your recommendations in this for
Yeah, so just a few things. I'll just quickly list them off what we've done. So essentially education, both for everyone right down, as AJ had mentioned as well, from the full suite, the entire organization, and also all your vendors as well. So, and look, at least every sense education, not just from a technical, but a perspective, like bringing your own device, in terms of, do you have a privacy impact assessment? Do you threat risk assessments? That should be done, not just, again, for the organization itself, but the entire supply chain. When you're through an RFP process, a purchase order, you can ask that your vendor actually proves to you that they've gone through cyber education, they have cyber insurance in place, they've done, because you don't want to just take their word for it. You want to actually see what they've done, and don't also take something that's done, and you want a third party organization to come in there and actually a really good assessment. Something else to keep in mind that I've also noticed along that is just security by design for the vehicle. So this includes designing security features into the hardware as protective functions. So as well as I mentioned, risk assessment management, right? This should be categorized, and there should be tiers in place as well in terms of the vulnerability. And another thing is threat detection protection. So intrusion detection, mitigation, especially along the supply chain, because your supplier, dealer, repair partners, or others in the vehicle ecosystem. So this, while you're not directly under the control of the automotive manufacturers, you may represent the channels where cyber attacks can actually take place and penetrate vehicles or the manufacturer systems itself. Another to keep in mind is incident response, a comprehensive response to talk about increased awareness. I mentioned before in terms of protocols for automotive manufacturers, even researchers and governments. It would be really good to create an ecosystem where this information is shared Finally, collaboration and engagement with the appropriate third parties, right? So defending cyber attacks often requires a form of engagement between multiple stakeholders. So this includes, again, suppliers to ensure the appropriate utilization of cybersecurity measures are in place and make clear communication among the channels.
Great, thank you, Sam. I think we're almost out of time. So AJ, Deepan, if you, what are your recommendations? I know a lot of things were mentioned already, and you've discussed many of them, but just a few key things, like that you think what companies should look out for.
I think Sam has mentioned quite a holistic approach to supplier cybersecurity. I just want to say, know your standards, know your frameworks. So from an automotive cybersecurity standards, what are the standards which are applicable to your organization? So WP29 has come out in Europe, UNECE. It is applicable starting 2022. So what are the if you're exporting to Europe, what are the requirements for that cybersecurity requirements? Similarly, ISO 21434, Deepan mentioned, it has come out on 31st of August 2021. What are your requirements from there? Transport Canada has a cybersecurity guidance for automotive sector. That's also a very interesting document and very a key document for us in Canada. So know your standards, and based on that, start looking at your cybersecurity management system.
And I think Sam and AJ has mentioned most of the things, but I would like to add one point over here. I think suppliers should be reactive instead of OEMs pulling the trigger and saying, okay, your suppliers need to, I think suppliers need to be more reactive and comply with the standards and other best practices that Sam has mentioned.
No, this is really great. Thank you so much. I think we are out of time. So thanks again for the great presentations. I think it was very valuable. I hope the attendees enjoyed the session as well. And I think we'll go back to the live. My dog starts barking, so there you go. It's, I guess, time to move to the live stage. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.